Good afternoon, my friends. I hope you are all well. Thank you very much to Gordon for the last couple of hours. No, it wasn't a couple of hours, that's my radio days kicking in. It was 45 minutes from Gordon. Yeah, thanks to Gordon for that. Good session. I learnt a few tricks there myself. So today on the AI session, I've actually got it marked down as the projector page, but I'm actually going to do this in two sessions. I realised after I submitted this class that I could actually do a whole one on projection mapping and a whole one on edge blending. So the edge blending one is going to come on Monday. So, projection mapping. Now what I'm going to just very quickly do, I am going to just check and make sure that people can see me, because I can't see anyone at all. Give me a second. Mapping. There are a few different elements that we want to sort of bring in and be aware of. So today, good afternoon, Elliot. Today, what we're going to do, we're going to look at bringing a 3D model into AI. We're then going to set up our project with some projectors. Then on the output page, I'm going to show you a few little tricks that we use to make mapping a little bit easier. And just for those who aren't aware, I'm just going to 100% confirm what we mean by mapping and the sort of tool set that we have available. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to go to my stage construction page first of all. Now I've got a screen surface, a screen fixture here already, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to import my model and I'm going to drop it onto this fixture icon at the bottom. So on my desktop here I have a folder. Now I'm going to use quite a nice looking model. The model I'm going to use is for a project that I do at Glastonbury. Should be doing it in a couple of months, but obviously that's not happening this year. But it's one that's close to my heart. I have to say I'm not the only person that works on this. I work as part of a team. The main core elements are Limbic Cinema, who are a visual collective from Bristol, amazing content creators and VJs. And also we have the transition video guys who really help us out with putting the Glastonbury show on as well. For those that have been to Glastonbury, it is the temple at Glastonbury, and you will hopefully recognise it when we get to that point. So, I've got a 3DS format model here. You can use multiple formats, 3DS, OBJ, Collada, Stanford Polygon Library, a few others. 3DS is my preferred flavour, so I'm going to be using that. So I'm just going to grab that model and drag it onto this fixture icon at the bottom, like so. Cool. So I'll just give you a bit of a spin around, and then we can sort of see what we're doing with the model here. So this is a properly 3D structure, this. So until now in the tutorials we've really just looked at two-dimensional work, and the mighty Rodri shows up. That was good timing, sir. Rodri is your man, your go-to man for many of your projection and LED needs. Transition video is the people to look for. He's a very busy man. He does loads and loads of stuff like TPI and things like that he's involved with as well. Okay, so now I've got my screen surface in there. What I'm going to do first, I'm just going to set a resolution. Now, because my model is already made to the correct proportions, I don't need to change anything like my scale, because the scale is relative to the original model. So a scale of 1, 1, 1 is fine. I am going to give this a resolution of 2048 by 2048. We actually run this project closer to a squared 4K resolution, but for now this is going to do me fine. I just click show canvas. Now we can see, and this is something I'll look at in a moment, that the way my texture is applied to this model looks a little bit funky at the moment. Don't worry, this is all going to become very clear. So what I've got to help us here, I've actually got a test template that I'm going to bring on here, and it's going to make a little bit more sense in this context. So I'm going to go to the performance page, like so, and then in my folder again, just here, there we go. So I'm going to apply that to my model. Brilliant. Okay. So you can see this is making a little bit more sense. Say section C3 for instance, rather than having to constantly point and hope the person knows what you're talking about. We did that the first year and it didn't work too well. So I mentioned that it's got a slightly strange layout, so what I want to do is I just want to look at this template a little bit just to sort of show you what's going on there. So if I just preview the template, so you can see that actually within this square area the model is designed to take specific parts. Rather than just laying the image flat on the front, we're taking specific pre-made parts. So something like this does require that you need specially designed content for the setup for it to look best, but as I'll show you in a bit, you can actually sort of throw anything on it and it'll look kind of nice anyway in an abstract way. I am going to look at UV mapping, so this is what we refer to as a UV map. If you've ever heard the term and you're not totally sure what we mean by UV map, it's literally the same as saying X and Y map. It's the coordinates of the texture, but we say U and V because X and Y are commonly used for position in 3D rather than texture position. But we're going to have a whole other tutorial where I look at 3D models, we'll make some models, we'll do some UV mapping, and we'll get you up and running there. Okay, so we've got our model and we've got a template on there to help us align everything. So the next thing I need to do, I need to get some projectors into this project. So I'm just going to zoom out to give myself a little bit more view of what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to add my first projector, select the projector, and let's just bring it back on the Z axis, the backwards forwards axis a little. And my projector at the moment has a square cone, so we need to get that into something more standard. So I'm going to go for a 16:9 ratio. Now on the projectors you can actually put into the lens ratio, you can put the sum 16 divided by 9 and it will give you the correct value, which is really handy. In fact, I should have put an aspect ratio and not lens ratio. Let's go for that, and let's go for, I'm going to give myself quite a low lens ratio just for now. Okay, cool. So what I'm intending to do here, we are going to get the head, the A section and the B section on my central projector. Then we're going to get the left D and C on a projector, and we're going to get the right C and D on a third projector. So let's just get this projector into position first. A little bit more so I can see that I need to come out a little bit. So in the real world, what I would actually do here, I would probably use a laser measure or a tape measure and calculate my actual position in meters and put them in here, and you'll find that it works pretty nicely. Okay, so we've got our first projector in there. Let's get another 2 projectors in there. Now quite a nice time saver that we can do with our projectors here is once I've got my other projectors in the project, I can copy, so I select my first projector and press Ctrl C, select my second projector, Ctrl V, and that's going to paste all of those same parameters into that projector, and then the same on the third projector. Now I'm actually going to leave my middle projector in the middle and take my left one to the left slightly, so let's just pan round, there we go, and I'm going to move that into a -X position, like so. And I can see that's -4, so I'm just going to take my right hand projector and put that. Something keeps pinging in my ear. And we're going to go for right on that. I'm going to just very quickly make sure that I can turn down my system sounds. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got our 3 projectors in position now. We've got them labelled up as well just to make our life a little bit easier. So let us, without further ado, go to the projector output page. So that's the AI icon on the bottom right. It's the output section and then the output page. So the left icon there, that's my screen fixture. That's the screen itself without the 3D model applied. When we look at it through the projector, we actually see the 3D model itself with the texture wrapped around it. Let's just go into there. There we go. Like so. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to assign these projectors to some outputs. So I'm choosing my left projector and output 2. We're going to activate that one. My middle projector and output 3 will activate that one. And my right projector, and that'll be output 4, and we're going to activate that one. And so just to confirm what that looks like, hopefully this one there we go. So you can see on my screen now I've got the interface, and on the right we can see the 3 outputs from the projector. I'm actually doing this with OBS Studio. I've got NDI feeds coming in from the media server rather than me sampling video into my laptop in real time. So let's just go back to the main interface just for a moment. Brilliant. So the first thing we need to think about is the parts that we actually need in each of these projector views. So let's just go to the middle one for a start. So this middle projector, I said that I basically just want the face, the center columns, A and B. So I could come in and I could use the mapping editor to individually select the components and sort of push them out the way. But a much easier way to do this is to just tell the projector which parts it can and it cannot see. So here on the left you can actually see that one of these components here, we can see the vertices, the points that make up the 3D model. So when we're adjusting the mapping, it's actually those vertex points within the model that we can adjust. And the nice thing about the 3D model, when used with that special UV map, is that the model always knows which part of the texture it should be showing. So regardless of where I move that to, it's always going to show the right part of the image. So first of all, let's get rid of the excess from this center projector. Now, to select my different components, here on the left I've got my mapping editor controls, and we've got this object button. So what I've done, rather than save this as one huge object, it's all a single model file, but I've made each of the components separate components. That's something we'll look at when I do the 3D modeling tutorial. But for now, what I'm going to do is, I've got this first piece selected, and I don't want this in this middle view. So I'm just going to use remove object, and we can see now that it's disappeared to that right side for me. Now what I want to do, I want to keep the A, the B and the head and the pillars. So we've got a plus and a minus object button, so I'm just going to jump through until I get to the next component that I want to remove. Okay, there we go. Just being very careful to make sure I don't delete the wrong one. Remove. There we go, last two. Like so. Okay, so that's really tidied up my workspace for me. So now I don't have to worry about all these other bits that aren't relevant to this middle projector at all. So let's just very quickly go onto my left projector. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go through and remove all the parts that I don't need. Next object. There we go. Remove. Next object. Object, and lastly the face. There we go. And then on my right projector we're going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to leave the C and the D sections on the right. So let's just jump through there very quickly. go, almost there. Boom, like so. Now if you do find that you've maybe deleted too many pieces, all you need to do, and I'm not going to do this because I don't want to make you sit through and watch me delete those pieces again, just remove everything and you'll find that the second to last click will leave you with a blank screen, and then pressing it once more will restore the entire model. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at what we've got going on there now. We'll go back to our 3 output view. There we go. So we can now see on the right, our top projector is just showing the left section, our middle projector is showing the head and the crown as we refer to it, and the right section is just showing the right hand section. Now just to confirm that this is still operating as a single thing, if I just put the test pattern on there, select my fixture first, put the test pattern on there, and we'll see the image changing on all of them on the right. There you go. That's kind of nice. Okay. So let's just go back to our alignment pattern again. Okay, cool. And then back to the output page. And then let's go for the face, because the face is quite nice and easy to see what's going on. So I mentioned that because I've got these set up as individual components, it makes it much easier for me to work with the face and the pillars. It's just black. So if this was just working with regions and I moved it, I'd probably end up showing some of the black region, but this model will only show us the piece that it should be showing. So we're going to go back to our output page, like so. There we go. So let's grab a piece and just manipulate it a little bit and just sort of show you what's going on here. So I'm going to just make sure I know which piece I'm working with. There we go. Okay, so we're going to operate with B3. What I'm going to do, in fact, if I go to this one here. And I realise I've set the wrong projector to that output. Okay, let's just go back to our main one for now. Okay, so I've got this piece selected. Now let's just zoom in a little bit so we can see what's going on a little bit more clearly. Okay, so at the moment the vertices on this model component are showing in green. That means that they're present, but they're not currently selected. So we've got 2 modes on this mapping editor, and at the top of it is this button that says Edit Mesh. So the first mode is when the button is not pressed and the writing shows in black. So in this mode I can easily move around, I can manipulate, all that kind of stuff, but I can't actually select any components. So if I give that button a quick press, now I can actually drag select and select specific components of my model. There we go. We can see they've just turned pink because they're now selected. And I've got a few options here. I can use these buttons here on the left to adjust position. I can adjust scale on 1 or 2 axes, and I've also got rotation, full 360-degree rotation, or in technical terms we call it 6 degrees of rotation, meaning that we can go forwards and backwards on all 3 axes, X, Y and Z. I'm going to bring this component over to the edge a bit just so that we can manipulate it, and then I'll show you sort of changing position and rotation and that kind of stuff. It'll be easier to see. So I'm going to just click on my X buttons a little bit. There we go. We can see that piece flying out nicely, and as I said, we can see that it's always retaining the correct piece of texture information there, like so. So as I mentioned, I can scale up on 1 or 2 axes. Let's go for our X and our Y. So that's, rather than changing our depth, we're going to change our width and our height. I just grabbed the wrong one there. There we go. I'm going to just bring it forward on the Z a little bit as well. So you can see from here as well, AI is fully aware of 3D position. So you see the way that this B3 section is intersecting with this column at the moment. That's because they're in a shared Z position, they're backwards forwards position. So if I bring it forwards on the Z, you'll see that it pops out and it's now actually hiding the pillar behind it because AI is aware of its 3D position. I'm just going to confirm this, so I'm going to untick my edit mesh, and in my editor view on the left here, if I now rotate round, get a better view and we'll be able to see it moving in the third dimension then as well. Let's just do that. There you go. So you can see it's actually moving forward of that component. It's going to fit the screen shape, and certainly with this project what we did is we constructed the screen, physically constructed the screen. We then photographed the screen, and using a technique called photogrammetry, we converted those images. So we took front, we took side, plan views, we converted that into a 3D model. And we were actually quite lucky. Sometimes it takes a few goes to get a good model out of a photogrammetry system. But we were lucky. The very first time we set up to actually map it, we found that it really was a nice close fit to the real physical thing. So I'm going to just bring this one out of the way a little bit so we can play with it. So I'm actually using the arrow keys on the keyboard at the moment. The up and down arrows will obviously do our vertical, our Y. Left and right arrows will do left and right. As you might have guessed, that's our x-axis. Let's just put it there. There we go. And I think it's control up and down will do forwards and backwards on your z-axis too. Okay, so let's... Oh, didn't mean to click that. Let's say that maybe I'm projecting this piece onto my target, but maybe this end, the right side of this B3 section, maybe that doesn't quite fit. Maybe there's a little bit of overlap, and I want to bring this whole of this right hand edge of the B3 section, I want to bring it over to the left a little bit. So with edit mesh selected, I'm going to click out away from the object, and that's just going to deselect everything. And then I'm going to drag select around the vertices. That's the plural of vertex. I'm going to select the vertices that I want to adjust. And so now, I could be using my buttons, but I'm using the arrow keys here. You can see that I can actually manipulate this. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the standard test pattern on. It's not right for this particular model, but it will just be a little bit easier to see that the texture is being manipulated. There we go, to our output page, back to our projector like so. There we go. I realise at this point I've not chosen the ideal one. You'll notice there I've actually keep forgetting, and I keep clicking on the wrong side. So on the projector page, clicking within the output area activates or deactivates or activates the page. You can use the button here on the top as well for this. So always select on the left. There we go. I'm just going to do a quick bit of weird manipulation, but you can see it's dragging that texture with it. Like so. Okay. So let's have a quick think there. So I did also mention that we have full 360 degree rotation. So what I think I'll do actually, I'm going to do this with the head, because the head's quite a nice obvious one. Jumping through my pieces, there we go, and let's just go back to that proper texture as well, like so, and set my projector. So what I'm going to do, in fact, let me select, I'm going to just remove everything except the face on this one, just so we can see properly what's going on. It's one of those things where we try and avoid curved surfaces as much as we can in projection, but there are points where we can't avoid it. Now we're pretty lucky with this model, and because it's so much like the original screen surface, what I do actually is for the head section, we get our projector very centrally lined, and I can pretty much just line it up without mapping, without having to adjust any of these vertices. So obviously when you've got a load of vertices, if you move some, you start to have to move other points sympathetically. So when there's this many, you really, if you can, you want to avoid having to actually adjust any of the vertices within the model. I'm just going to go back to edit mesh so I can select everything. There we go. So just to confirm what I was saying about our rotation degrees, so you can see literally this model can be rotated in full 360. Now what I'm going to do, because this is going a little bit slow, the number above each section is how much each click will twist or move or advance the value. So that was on 1 degree. I'm just going to change it to 5 degrees just so that it flies around a little bit quicker for us. There we go. You can see it's going around a lot quicker now. So we've got our X rotation, our Y rotation, and our Z rotation. It's worth bearing in mind, not something I'm going to cover today, but I am going to be doing a tutorial on motion control on motion tracked stage. So I think you can kind of get the idea already that we do have this ability to real-time 3D position. So this actually could be something like Blacktracks, which is controlling positional kinesis, or OptiTrack, or even maybe your own custom design thing using something like an Arduino or something like that. Okay, so we do have on the projectors as well, there is a color correction output. If I just take that off there, so sometimes you might find that one projector is a little bit off color compared to the other ones, so you have got a little bit of control over the RGB levels there, as well as a brightness control, just to, whoop, he says, there we go, as a brightness control like that. And you can, if you'd rather, you can either roll your mouse wheel on those number boxes, or you can actually type a value in. The choice is yours. Another quite useful thing you can do, in the same way that I have marked up my projectors and given those names, we can do the same with our output names as well for reference. I've done that clicky thing again. Let's go into there, let's call that one middle, and let's go to that one there, selecting the right output, left. You'll notice that even though I've turned the output off and back on, it's retained that information, which is quite useful. Like so. So let's just go back to that one there with our 3 outputs. Sometimes, let's see if I can see anything like so there. It is possible sometimes that you will sometimes see your points on the output. No, I haven't got any there. So sometimes if you've got too much selected and then you turn the edit mesh off, you will sometimes still see your vertices on the output, but I'm not seeing that here at all. I'm sat at home. I do fortunately have a media server with me. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab some of the standard content library. So I'm going to make a bank for that. If you do want to activate those cones, if you go back to the stage construction page, select the projector, and I think I was about to tell you, about a version 12 feature. There is a, but in fact I'm going to just very quickly check in the system settings and see if I'm being an idiot. Would you credit it, I've actually caught myself out there. Okay, I can't remember where the button is, I'm not going to worry about that. So now that we've got our system set up, we've got our outputs adjusted, we've told each projector what it wants to show, we can then just come in. Like I say, you can play any texture on your mapping project. Maybe not the best one, let's go for something like that. There we go. And so just to confirm, I'm just going to give us a bit of a zoom on one of the outputs there. that one there. That's the one we want. Like so. So as I say, there's going to be a tutorial coming up on 3D modelling and UV mapping. We'll be using free software with this. Thank you very much, Steve Irwin. Good afternoon to anyone from Everything Stage Group. A pleasure to have you with us. All these tutorials are going to be kept on our Facebook page, and we're looking into another place that we can host them as well, because we are aware that there are some people out there in countries like China that can't access YouTube or Facebook, so we're looking for an alternative. Good afternoon, Paul. Really good to see you, mate. And yeah, I think we're pretty much there with that one. So what I'm going to do on Monday, I realise that I've done no edge blending at all, and the reason for that is that this particular project doesn't lend itself to edge blend. The cunning of you may have noticed that I potentially have some overlap that I've not talked about, and I have kind of half left it out on purpose. There are you can't see it because I've taken these components off of the central piece. There were some overlaps. I did use some masking on this one, but Monday we're going to look at proper edge blending. We're going to look at using edge blending on the output page. We're going to look at a really special type of 3D edge blending that we have built into the system. So at this point I am going to throw the floor open to anyone that fancies asking me a question. Obviously, if you don't have any questions, don't feel you have to. It's worth mentioning at this point, we are always open to helping and questioning. It doesn't have to specifically be in one of these sessions. The direct email to contact me at Avolites is, if you email support@avolitesmedia.com, that will come through to a group of us. If you very specifically want to chat with me, that's going to be Aaron, ARRAN, at avolites.com. But I get the support ones as well, so if you can't remember what my name was or how to spell it, and let's face it, a lot of my family can't spell my name, support@avolites.com is the one. So we've got a lot planned for the next few weeks. We've just been working on our schedules today as well. Let's go to that one there. So if you do want to know what's coming up, www.avolites.com/online resources. Yep, everything is recorded and archived, Paul. I'm looking at doing, I realise the internet is not always being our friend here, so I am recording these onto my machine at the same time so that I can have a buffer-free copy. So yeah, if you step along to the website address which is on your page, thank you for Terry. Terry, for those who don't know, thank you Sam as well for the online resource link. Terry is one of the newer members of our development team. I say newer because as of yesterday we have another person helping us out with a project. I'm not going to talk about that project at all. Terry, like all of us in the AI team, Terry has a background working with interactive designs and projects. He's a really talented coder. He's really pushing forward with a lot of things that I can't tell you about at the moment, such as life in R&D. We're keeping him busy and he's bringing a lot to the plate. That's all you need to know. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much there for the day. I'm sure, I know that we can't all go out and have fun, but I'm sure we're still all looking forward to that weekend. Do check out the page that Sam's giving you a link to, and also the one that I've got a link to. You can also go to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/AvolitesViz, AVOLITESVIS. Viz as in visualize or visuals, whatever you want to think of it. We've got loads and loads of resources on there. Titan resources, AI resources. There is even a section on salvation, which is a very popular request. I am going to be doing a webinar, but if you really want to get deep with salvation, dive in on the YouTube channel. There's quite a few hours of salvation. It's a pleasure, Steve. Good to have you with us again. I remember your name from the other day, and I really appreciate you sharing the link out as well. It's really nice. I'm sure, like us, we all appreciate that at this point in time. It's a great opportunity for anyone to have a look around, and we know what it's like working in the events industry. We spend all the hours at all, but it certainly doesn't hurt anyone, especially you and your employment prospects, to be able to stretch that bubble out a little bit. So I am going to call it a day for now. If you do have any questions after I've closed this session, if you jump in to the Avolites page, or I think the link is on a couple of the groups as well, you can just add in the comments there and they'll actually add to the video, and I'm going to keep an eye on it for a couple of hours. So if anything pops up, fire your questions in there, I will answer. Otherwise, avolites.com/online resources, support@avolitesmedia.com. So do have a good weekend, my friends, and I hope to see you next week. So Monday's our next sessions with I think that's just me on the Monday. Might be Gordon as well, but check on the timetable. That'll probably be up later today. Thank you very much, my friends, and have fun.